Hey, welcome to the Brand Lounge. This is a video series that we've been producing over the past few weeks. Typically, we would interview a client and give you a peek behind the scenes into particular projects with specific brands. But today, we've mixed it up a little bit. We've got a couple of folks right here from J.Schmid, two of our favorites, two of our big dogs, as they call them, in our creative department. Matt Fay, Vice President, Creative Director here at J.Schmid, and Kristen Sobba, Senior Art Director. And it is my pleasure to welcome both of you today. Matt, Kristen.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for wearing black.
We coordinated.
Yes. This was not planned. This is the typical uniform of creative folks these days, right? I don't know where you sign on the dotted line that you must wear black, but well played. So you guys both have been at J.Schmid for literally decades. You grew up here. Matt, I think you've been here for 21 years. Kristen, 16, pushing 17 years.
Yep.
Oh my goodness. So you've literally spent the majority of your careers here, learning the ropes, as they say, the J.Schmid way. J.Schmid is known for catalog work primarily, yet we do all kinds of creative, right? We do digital creative, website design, brand strategy work, research, a long list of deliverables, yet at the core of our business is still catalog design. So I would bet it's safe to say that you have worked on catalogs every day for the past 2 decades. True?
That's an accurate assessment.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you guys know catalogs and catalog creative probably better than most people in the industry. So my question to you is, knowing all the different tactics and mediums that you work in, what do you love about catalogs? Matt?
I think the great thing about working with catalogs is the immediacy. That's one key component. It's we're working on something, and a few months later, it's real. Like, you start with just an idea, just out there in the ether, nothingness, and then after much wrangling, you pull it down onto the page. Goes through all the rounds of production and revision, and then 3 months later it exists in the world, and it's out in the world, and someone's shopping from it. So it's pretty cool to work on something that's there, that becomes a physical artifact out in the world. And I think just seeing how creative you can be on those pages is another great thing about working in a catalog.
Yeah, it's super cool. I think it's so neat to have this idea that's in our heads when we're like in the room sketching things out or looking online, and we have these ideas and we're like, how could we do it? And how could we make it come to life? And then, yeah, when you get it in the mail and it's your vision, how you envisioned it to be, or maybe a little different, but close, it's so neat to see that come to life.
So both of you have been creating catalogs for 2 decades now, as we mentioned. Catalogs have changed dramatically, right? We know that. Thinking back to the catalogs we used to produce 15 years ago, 10 years ago, even 5 years ago, so different, right, than they are today. How have they changed so dramatically, specifically in the last few years?
I think the biggest thing would be simplification. Would you agree? Like, that things have simplified a lot more.
Totally.
We're not trying to do everything on the page anymore.
Because there's so many other mediums that you can sell through. A catalog used to be the only way you could sell your product, right? Get it in the mail, you buy it from the mail. Now we have so much support that we don't have to do that anymore.
Like, when I started at J.Schmid, back in the mid 1950s, and websites weren't really around then. But no, even at the turn of the century, I started on some brands that didn't have e-commerce websites yet. That it was a phone number and a fax number and a mail order form in the catalog, and that was that was some of my introduction. This idea is like, hey, these websites, they're catching on. They might find their way in here. So, you know, like Kristen said, needing to like tell everything, because that's the medium that we have. You know, so much of that has been stripped away over the years. We've gotten more freedom to be more visually compelling rather than just being an order form in their hands. Like you can tell emotional stories. You can have fun with visuals. You can simplify the copy. I think the visual impact and I think the freedom like within that has got to be something. Has got to be a big thing for you as well.
Totally. I think they've become way more inspirational rather than transactional, right? Like you can get a catalog in the mail and just be inspired to go shop more, look up their brand now, whereas before we were asking them to do so much more from the page.
Fascinating. All right, here's a loaded question. If you could give one piece of advice to marketers, to our friends listening out there today, clients that we work with, brands who are out there seeking answers, what one piece of advice would you give them?
Take a chance.
Take a chance.
Take a chance. Take a risk. Be brave. You know, so many people that we work with and brands that we work with, they point to other brands that they like. Oh, I really like what this brand is doing. Oh, have you seen this? Like, we really like that. What I try to communicate to them is, you know, look at the atmosphere that brand created around itself. They took a chance. The reason that you like what they do is because they were willing to risk it. They were willing to do an all-white cover with a tiny little image on it. They were willing to change up their format. They were willing to take that space, to do an interesting angle, to use unexpected, compelling copy, to go to an unexpected location. They took a chance, and those are things that get noticed and that so many people call out to. And Brent, you talked earlier about, you know, we need to be measurable. We need to have results tied to what we do. You know, that's a real differentiating factor in what catalogs do that many other, you know, creative and advertising campaigns don't do. So we have that. But we also have the freedom to take a chance, to try things. Because if you don't try it, you may never know. So be ready to take that risk, to take a chance, and let's see where it goes.
Yeah, my answer is along similar lines. I think you have to stand for something. Don't be afraid of alienating a certain segment of the population because your company believes something or has a value. I think standing for what your company believes in is super important, and not enough brands do it. But when brands do it, I think it's so powerful.
Matt, Kristen, thanks for hanging out in the Brand Lounge today. This was awesome.
Thanks for having us. When do the cocktails get served?
Cocktails!
I ordered a while ago.
Bring these two some cocktails. This was fun. This was great.
Thanks, Matt.
Thanks for hanging out.
Thanks for having us.